I'm Madhuri Pednekar, your host for the broadcast and a conference producer at CIO News. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website cionews.co.in and on our CIO News LinkedIn handle. This is an exclusive fireside chat powered by Avaya on transformation through customer experience. Businesses are built by the experience they provide, and every day millions of those experiences are delivered by Avaya. Avaya is shaping what's next for the future of work with innovation and partnership that delivers game-changing business benefits. Let's dive in and let me introduce my guest for today, Mr. Anil Menon, Head of Information Technology at Lulu Group India Private Limited. He's an IT professional with 18 plus years of experience across information technology and retail organizations. He has worked extensively on the digital transformation project, cloud and mobility platform, retail analytics, enterprise systems and security, and information management system. He's extremely passionate about using the latest in technology to provide business solution to accelerate growth. His area of interest being artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchains, and robotic. Mr. Menon, it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you.
So along with me, we also have Mr. Bhavesh Vora. He's a sales engineering leader at Avaya India South and also our moderator for today's session. With 20 plus years of work experience in various roles, he's a dynamic and result oriented professional and with progressive leadership experience in the enterprise telecom and IT industry. He's adept in building high performance engineering teams, supporting markets and trade events, improving customer engagement across verticals, and enabling partners. He is very well versed in Avaya's product and technology, which includes contact center, unified communication and network solutions, telephony, managed services, and cloud computing. Welcome, Bhavesh.
Yeah, thank you, Madhuri. Glad to be here. Okay, I think we will start. Good morning, Mr. Menon, once again. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. From a Lulu, I can say from a customer perspective, I have seen Lulu malls in the Middle East, especially UAE, but not had a chance to still see in India. Hopefully, I think when I visit Kerala and all, I'll see those malls. And
Yeah,
with Avaya also, we have done, I know Lulu has done business with Avaya across multiple geographies. So before we start, for the benefit of the viewers of CIO News and the rest of the Avaya team, if you could briefly introduce yourself, and I hear the introduction, but more specifically your priorities within Lulu, from a CIO perspective. That can, and then we can take over the customer experience part.
sure. Thanks, Bhavesh. And you don't have
Yeah.
to come to Kerala now. We are in Bangalore. We just opened up our new Lulu hypermarket in Bangalore. So you're
Oh,
always
that's great.
welcome. Yeah. And we
Okay.
are looking at expansion largely in India. From a
Mm.
portfolio point of view, I do handle retail malls, hospitality, logistics, and flight kitchens. Right, but our larger roadmap for this year would be, from a digital standpoint of view, to be more so we have our own data centers, right? How do you make the cloud journey? How do you restructure? Because this pandemic has taught us a lot of activities, right? We're revisiting our digital transformation journey and try to fix the low hanging fruits first. I'm not going in a phase that, you know what, we'll do the best of it. You have multiple threads running around it, so low hanging fruits will be fixed first, and then the strategy of moving most of our workloads to cloud is what the journey looks like for us to start with. But yes, as we previously we used to do 4 to 5 years of road mapping and all of that. Now it's come to 18 months. Where we can look at it, because you never know, the atmosphere is so fluid, right? And this, we need to be agile in terms of how do we go about strategizing our customer journey and customer experience. That's more like in a nutshell what we are doing, trying to do now. And also, as we said, we have our data centers on, and how much of those workloads, BIs, analyticals, AIs can be brought into this environment, the ecosystem, is something which we are revisiting.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So I think let me take the discussion forward. And so I think Lulu being primarily a hypermarket format is what I understand. So, and maybe some amount of home delivery and all must be also happening. I think that is practice across India. So how do you actually manage a customer experience? One is people come into your malls, but maybe you'll be having a call center, and then there are digital channels available. People interact through WhatsApp and web chat, emails, and all. So how do you manage your customer experience, if you can tell, in a nutshell? And how do you prioritize them? What are your strategies for them? That would like to hear about that.
Thanks, Bhavesh. And
Yeah.
just to put in perspective, while we are doing offline, we are doing online also. We are on e-commerce platforms. We are building our own omni-channel structure strategy around omni-channel. While we are doing this, the so-called new word called D2C is being worked upon. But from a customer standpoint of view, uh, this journey of this new channels have brought in a lot of data into us, a new structure of data which is brought into us. That's building our customer experience, right? Now, how do we do that? Okay, from a digital point of view, we try to make sure that while we are doing it, we have enough of data to make the life cycle more seamless for the customer. We are bringing that value for the customer by enriching this data from all these channels, making sure that wherever the customer comes, and that's why if I have to just put a dot to this omni-channel part of it, it's more a seamless journey across platforms. Let's put it in that manner. If I have to do that, I have to know if Anil comes into my store anywhere, offline, online, any other mobility channels, any of it, am I giving him the same experience? Now we are revisiting that part of it, saying that okay, offline I'm good, I'm giving him experience, I'm giving him beautiful malls, assortments, and so on and so forth, right? Home delivery, as you said. But am I able to bring that same experience on the online platform? This real estate of six,
Hmm.
now it becomes seven, eight, and all of that is going on. So in that real estate, can I really bring that experience on? And to do that experience, you need to have relevancy in your data transformation or communication to this particular customers. Now, this can be brought in two manners, right? One, while you're trying to engage him or her on your channels. The second part of it is post delivery. How are your services going on? And that's the that's a fine line between that, right? That
Hmm.
journey should complete, and that's why we call it as a life cycle for a customer. So we're trying to merge both of this by revisiting all these journeys because we are getting into the D2C models and other factors of it. So that's largely our digital platform thought. And when I started the conversation by saying low hanging fruits, there are multiple of it. You have WhatsApp
Hmm.
channel which is coming in. You can have a chat bot which is, but the chatbots can go both the ways. You need to be cognizant of the fact that it can go both the ways. It can it can just bring you down and you are not getting the relevancy of your
Hmm.
information vis-a-vis you are getting relevant part of it, right? So all of that has to be reconsidered, re-looked at, and that's where we are working our whole focus areas point to be set across. And when I'm talking about this, I'm not only talking about external, but I'm also talking internal. When we talk customer experience, we largely only and only talk about external. How are you going internal, and what are you digitizing internally? That also has been looked into. Bhavish, that's more like a strategy which we're looking at.
Yeah, good. So I think I got the point. I think very well said. So basically, you are in the process of creating an omni-channel platform now. I think you're really seriously looking into it because you have to compete with the online large players like the Flipkarts and Amazons and all. And with the COVID coming in, people are really not probably visiting the malls now. They have started, so probably the online model is going to be more okay. So that is work in progress. So that's a good point. Good insight. I think if you go ahead, I mean, Lulu's been in retail for a very long time, and how do you actually measure the customer experience? I mean, one way is people you may be sending an SMS survey or customer calls, and that time you do a survey. So, is there a strategy in place for actually measuring a customer experience and giving a score, and doing it across omni-channel, or how is it? If you can give some insights over there also.
Sure. Bhavish, and rightly said, we are not losing in the traditional method of the CS and CLVs and others of the world. We are still maintaining that. But
Okay.
are we measuring it from a point of care what the customer cares about?
mm,
is something which you will have to work on. And that doesn't mean that you do a good customer service and it's over. It's a mix of both, a CX and a CS mix of it. It is not CS the way we do it.
mm.
It is how soon is the first response going on? What is your relevancy of resolving the issues? While you're talking about this, what I'm coming to is the chatbots and the WhatsApps are making differences around here. This goes right. While you're doing a CS, you're getting the surveys and others to be done any which ways. The second part is when you say about care about what the customer cares, you're doing a lot of other relevance thing in terms of how effortless and how easy is it to service him vis-a-vis also service in both the ways. When you're saying omni-channel, you're doing it offline and also online, right? You're He's sitting in some part of this world and he also needs the same customer service which I'm providing at the offline store. How am I going to get that? That's something which we are looking into. And the third, not but not the least, the customer lifecycle value. How are you bringing value to that journey of his and making it more relevant for him to be with us? See, loyalties and everything was in place. It's kind of fading off. It's bringing a very thin line around, right? We can't still say
Yeah.
that customers like, give me 5 minutes and I will move from Flipkart to Amazon to others of the world, Mintras of the world. So I'm not loyal per se, but how can I make it more relevant for him to be around in and around my omni channel is something which is the life cycle value which we are trying to bring in, lifetime values which are trying to bring in for the customer now. Now that's while doing this, when you're doing an omni channel or sort, you also have to take back the EX part of it, the employee experience part of
Okay.
it. Okay, are you listening to the employee is the first part, right? Have you heard him properly? Are you making him a part of this journey which you're trying to create for the customer? Because they at the ground are the best critics of yours or the best value adds for you. See, while we do a customer experience and thing, mostly largely because it is offline, you go there, you stand, you see other things and all of it. When you're doing an omni channel, that is both the perspectives. When you're doing a delivery, what is the delivery boy say? How was the
Mm,
last mile for him? That takes a lot of part of that. Has a customer asked for, okay, can I give a feedback right away? Am I providing a chatbot right there itself? Oh, you know what, Anil is come in. Oh yeah, Anil is a good employee, so and so forth. Or he's done a good service. He's taken precaution, safety, and other factors in this current COVID periods. Things like that. The attributes which matter the most. Are you providing it to the customer through this last mile? All of this has been taken care of. So while you're doing the first three, you're also taking the EX part into consideration where you're listening to the customer. That's where employees, sorry. That's where we are working on, Bhavesh.
So that is very interesting. So I think, can you elaborate a little bit on that employee voice of employee, if we say,
Yes.
so you can little bit elaborate on the use case. How do you capture the voice of the employee? I
Sure.
mean, is it they go through a website, or is it a mechanism they call? How do you capture the feedback of employees?
Sure. There are forums which are created, internal forums which are
Mm,
created, where a couple of core team members of different functions go
mm,
through a session with them to understand what were the feedbacks from the customer, how was the customer, what are the notifications they observe, because they are very good in giving value adds.
mm,
You may say,
yes.
sir, why don't you do this small thing and the customer is going to happy, because this is a it's a constant question which is coming towards them.
Mm,
Can we build it up? Say for example, while very very minuscule thing, can you bring the visibility to them at any point of time? Sir, I'm able to service the customer, but I do not have a visibility of this particular area of the function, right? Say for example
mm,
stocks, or you may say the color combination, the variations, what's our roadmap kind of thing, right? If you give that visibility to the customer, that's why employee asks for. So what I do
mm.
is, as a customer experience, if I build a small employee app for him showing the visibility, I'm indirectly, organically or inorganically, bringing the customer experience to the next level. when i
Okay.
when i interact with the customer says, you know what, yeah, this service team was good because they could give us a future insight on what's coming up in our store, what are the offers looking at, is this variant around anywhere in this vicinity, and so on and so forth. While this looks small and this looks passe in terms of the years
Mm,
where we have taken a journey, but this still hold relevant, right? Attributes And we at this point of time we are in a very good state in terms of customer data, the attributes. While we were previously working on Anil with 34 attributes, now I am working Anil with 128 attributes because
Hmm.
of the new channels which is coming, because of my interaction on chatbots, because of my interaction on WhatsApp channels, because of my interaction on the mobility part of it, right? So that's something which we have to enhance, and this can prove beneficial to the employee. That's affecting the customer experience.
Great. That's very interesting. So I think you're saying you're creating forums, and maybe the individual teams would get together and have a discussion. Okay, what is the learning, and that probably gets captured into a portal or somewhere, and that feedback is taken. Okay. So there must be some kind of a platform or a application available for all that.
Yeah, it can be both the ways. It's a platform in progress. If I have to say, it's been
Okay.
enhanced every day because of newer and newer inputs which comes from the employee standpoint.
Yeah. Okay. Understood. So that's good. I think the employee experience is very, very important, especially in retail, because there is constant learning which is happening, and the guy on the floor knows actually what does the customer want and what are the issues. So I think just slightly tweaking it. So I mean, while you're mentioning, I think that you're preparing for omni-channel for employees and customers. Many retails we have seen, they it is omni-channel, but they more or less work in silos. So, like as you mentioned, the chatbot works and that it gets fizzled over there, and the customer again has to come through another channel. Are you looking at, really integrating all the channels? So whenever an interaction comes to a representative in the store or the call center or somewhere, he has a unified view, because that is a missing piece. I think a lot of the times we have seen. As long as you are on the mobile app, it's fine. But then sometimes when you call, you have to again repeat a lot of things. Or if you walk into a store, they have no clue. So I mean,
Yes, Bhavesh, and
yes,
you rightly
yeah,
said it. The definition of omni-channels were very misunderstood for longest of
yes,
the time. People are now making use of it, and I think teams like Avaya and everyone coming into place are bringing this unified customer view for us.
mm,
And how do we collaborate with partners in such spaces is one, the expertise of unifying multiplexes. See, we as
mm,
retailers have this constraint of being some of them being a legacy system, some being a very futuristic in line, and so on and so forth, right? AI and ML, if I try to run, it may not run on my legacy system because of X number of reasons of it, right? That's when the collaborative partners come into place, make it unified for us by having a single platform to, as I said, pump in all the data into one single platform, and they run a good number of expertise on AI and ML on top of it, which gives us a unified way of saying in no matter which channel Anil is walking in, I have the customer experience or the customer service guy has a unified view of Anil. So what have
correct.
I purchased? Where is my last conversation? Which city was I? And what should be suggestive nature of Anil? And no, gone are the days that press one for English, plus two for this and all of that. That days are gone, right? It is now as soon as I walk in, I know, hey, Anil, how are you? Oh, how was your purchase last time? What so on and so forth. That conversation starts in that manner. How do you
Mm,
make it more conversational, rather than if I'm coming with a complaint, still you're making sure that the customer has a good conversation with you, a positive conversation with you, and a unified platform helps us doing that by giving a lot of portfolios, if I have to name it, of the single golden record, right? Anil is a
mm,
golden record. How do I make different views of this particular record and project it in front of the employee or the customer service team is what the next step it looks like, and is for to be for sure. But this will require a lot of data richness and data analyticals to be run on to top of it too. It's not we do run analytics, but it's the next level now. We have to pick up the games from there to where
okay.
an AI and ML can work out.
Yeah. In fact, that was my next question. I mean, you spoke about mapping customer journey across multiple touch points. So, I mean, I think Madhuri, when she introduced you, you mentioned about artificial intelligence also. So, I mean, can you elaborate? I think this is a very powerful word, and it's fun using it. But if you can elaborate, is there a use case where AI or machine learning is actually used somewhere in the Lulu group? If you can elaborate on the, or is something which you're planning to do?
Yeah, so we have couple of plans laid down in terms of how can nothing being run per se, because see, while we speak about AI and when we take a use case, there's a success and failure ratio around it. We experiment with it a lot. We have come some concrete use cases where AI can be run in terms of nurturing and building this customer golden record, if I have to call it, if I have to say it in
Okay.
that way, in terms of understanding the customer better, uh, looking at opportunities where I can more engage with this particular customer, because customer dynamism because of new channels coming in has increased for us.
Mm.
And when you have an increased attribute set for us in terms of understand, we have to run AI in a matter which is relevant to the customer. AI can throw multiple outputs. If you're really getting into AI can actually run multiple. How much of the outputs are relevant to you and can be
Yes.
nurtured in a cost beneficial manner? It can't go overboard and I'm spending too much and getting less of it. But cost beneficial model is something which we are experimenting on. We are doing some work around it.
Okay.
And basically, now we are nurturing data more. Is what I would like to put in.
Okay. That's good. I think you did mention about Lulu having their own data centers. So when we look at cloud as a strategy, and cloud being one of the biggest pillars for digital transformation. So, I mean, are your applications specifically customer centric or call center? Are they hosted in the on premise, or is it cloud? Or when you say cloud, is it the Lulu cloud or the public cloud? What is the adoption of these cloud platforms in Lulu Group?
So we are in a very initial stages of cloud journey, if I have to say. We've
Okay.
been running data centers from ages. We still have it. It's more of a strategy in which we have to move to a cloud, right? Today's strategy is while we have data centers, of course, systems still will run on our data centers, but
Mm,
customer experience centers, if I have to call them, or platforms, like a mobile app or other parts of other journeys of
mm.
okay, like as you said, the unified platform. If I have to
Yeah.
run a unified platform, it can't run on a data center. It has to run on a cloud, because that is
Cloud.
a lot of spikes in the journey. There is a lot of computations which will come onto it, because a unified
Mm,
platform just can't stay there. You have to run overlay it with a lot of MLs and AIs to make sense of this data which is lying at the unified platform, right? So the journeys are strategized now in terms of what should be at on cloud and what should be on at the on prem, and we are running on our own data centers. And the cloud
mm.
is public clouds. In public clouds also,
Okay.
we have multiple public clouds, one for purely for security reasons, other particular because when you take a journey of a application, you will have to take two or three things into consideration. One is the cost benefit analysis around it.
Mm,
Second is it compliant, do you have a security in places which is relevant for you, right, in that particular country, that particular geography. uh,
mm,
not but the least, what would be the nature of the platform. Is it would you have spikes continuously, or is it going to be far over stagnant around a period of
mm.
time, and then on a seasonal basis there's a spike? So all of that put into computation is what we are currently looking at. So very small, few footsteps, if I have to say, on cloud now, but the journey is big.
Okay, fine. That's good. So I think we're coming towards the end, and my last question. I think we are all hit by this COVID, and it looks like now it's over. At least in Bangalore, it appears it is over. We never know, but we have to be very cautious. But for last 1.5 years, I mean, it has affected retail a lot. So how has it affected you from the business perspective, and your employees working from home or working from office? And when in that situation, how were the employees collaborating with each other? And if you can elaborate on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, retail has taken a beating, but we being at all the three friends of essentials, fashion, and white goods. While fashion and white goods have taken the beating, grocery is still being there because it being the essentials, right? But it is not as per what we had envisaged and all of it because of the fluid situations. Everyone is aware of it. During this period, while essential, we had to work from at the workplace, not from home.
Yeah.
But there were still the buying team and other teams who are support functions and people who can work from home. They have been enabled with collaborative tools like Teams and others at that point of time because we are on Office 365 and so on and so forth. Thanks to a couple of collaborative tools other than Teams and others, where you could connect with your buyers, your vendors, your supply agents, and we were in a position to open up our partial cloud, not the complete cloud for the matter, but the partial cloud for the vendors and for the visibilities, because
Okay.
stocks were something which were had taken a lot of beating. So from that point of view, the employees and others need to know where what is that time taken for particular stocks to be at the store so they can deliver it to the customer. When you're doing a delivery, you need to also be sure that you have communication channels between the delivery partner and the store. All of that was being enabled. For the employees safety was primer. So we used to use uh, the transparency method, if I have to say call it, by exposing what is the temperature of the customer, the staff, and so on and so forth, and how much have been vaccinated, what are the natures of that. So all of that was envisaged and taken into the next level, where we have brought in the HRMS modules into action,
Okay.
right? So your policies and others can be apparently done. With this came in a lot of security reasons, right?
Mm.
Security enablements and others. So everyone has the same story, but how much of that was that we have not exposed our systems too far to the external world. So it was still in a good pace for us to expose it to via VPNs and other factors. While they are now outdated, we are getting into SASE and zero trust and other big words which we currently use in securities. We are in the journey of it. Some have been implemented, some are in process of implementation. So that has enabled and made sure two parts. One, the staff is the employee are safe, secure, and we are still able to deliver to our last mile customers, making sure that there is a lot of transparency around that. Second, from a security standpoint of view, our data is in the right hands with right visibility, with light permissions and access to relevant data. So that has been kept into place, and that's what our measurements were.
That's great. Thank you. I think we covered all aspects. I think right from customer journey, you brought about an interesting perspective of employee experience. That's a good insights. I think work from home, cloud, AI, ML. It's good. I think Lulu Group is growing in India. I also believe you are in hotels and all. Also, I think some Marriott hotels and all have been built by you all. Yeah, yeah. So I think this is good. Thank you very much. I think from my perspective, I think I've got good insights from Mr. Anil. Anything else if you want to say, you can say. Otherwise, we can go back to Madhuri. Yeah.
Bhavesh, thank you, and it was a great chat with you to understand. And also, when we speak, we rekindle with what we our thoughts were and how it went by. It's a great chat,
Yes.
having relevant questions for us. Thank you. Thanks, Bhavesh.
Good chat.
Thank you, Madhuri.
Thank you so much. Yes, Madhuri, over to you. Yeah.
Um, Thank you, Mr. Menon, for sharing some really wonderful insights with our viewers. And thank you, Bhavesh, for moderating this entire session today. So, thank you once again.